That's it. The Kansas City Chiefs offseason is a wrap. A lot has come and gone. We're going to talk about it tonight. Want to say happy Father's Day to everyone out there. I hope that you guys are in this kind of mood today because there's a lot to be happy for. This is Sunday Night Live, where we generally live stream each weekend, whether it's a game day weekend or here in the off season. Today, because it's a holiday, I'm actually pre-recording this for you. But please, the chat is live. Hang out with each other. Super chats, stickers, etc. will all be answered on Monday night. So feel free. I hope that you guys are enjoying your day because I want to feel as good as Patrick Mahomes felt when got those 2 rings on there the other day. I feel pretty good about where everything's at with this offseason, but we should go over a couple of things. And that's kind of where I'm starting with today. One, those rings are incredible, right? I mean, we should feel pretty good about that. I'm probably just going to do a ring breakdown here later in the week. So bear with me there. I'm pretty intrigued about that process. Super, super unique. And I think the overarching deal, and I'll go into this week, is that the rings are more about the franchise and the fan base and Chiefs Kingdom literally on it than it is about the individuals or the performance. I think that that's incredible, and I think that's really unique when it comes to these kind of things. Now, they got to let their hair down at the end of mandatory minicamp and have the ring ceremony. I think everybody had a good time. It certainly looked like it for me. From everything that I'm seeing, everybody's in a pretty good mood hanging out. I question some beer choices, but that's just me. Everybody gets their own taste. But Patrick's moving on. Light beer is not something I expected to see in that, but that's okay. I think the celebration point is what we should be doing today, like tying in the ring celebration with the Father's Day celebration. That's kind of what it is. So thanks for bearing with me. Like I said, normally we're live. Tonight I'm pre-recording, but leave everything in the chat. Have a good time. And all you fathers, congrats to you and happy Father's Day. Enjoy the chat tonight. Leave any questions or anything, super chat, super stickers, whatever, in the chat. They will come through to me and we'll answer our normal Q&A on Monday night like we always do. A couple of topics that I do want to cover, though, is what we've seen. And there's a couple of guys that stand out. And one is I wanted to use this picture just because I thought this was great. As the offensive line is coming together, I think there's a couple of things that have become true. And from everything that I've heard from those that have access to the OTAs and were there, a couple season ticket holders that got to see some things as well. This is what it comes down to. And as much as we can hem and haw about whether it should be this way or it shouldn't, this is the situation. Donovan Smith is the left tackle. He's a starter. It's not really much of a question. He had to miss some time in OTAs. I expect him to be back for training camp full go. But while he was in OTAs and mandatory minicamp, whenever he was there, he was the left tackle with the ones. That's it. There was no other spot for him. He did not take any reps with the 2s or the 3s. So it's not even like they're trying to get him worked into the offense by giving him extra reps outside of the first string. Didn't happen. So as far as it looks like today, it's a done deal. Donovan Smith's your starter at the left tackle. When he wasn't able to go, it was not this man that stepped in. And this is what I was expecting. I thought Juwan Taylor would step in and they would swing him over to left to make that kind of preparation and to honestly see if there's any kind of battle yet to have, whether there's an option at right that could let Juwan start at left and leave Donovan in a emergency backup role kind of thing, given his age and his injury status, et cetera. I thought maybe we would see that. From everything that I've heard through the grapevine and the folks that are able to be around the team, Juwan Taylor's a pretty happy-go-lucky guy. A very positive attitude, a guy that can step in and take what is thrown at him, whether it is shifting to the left or just being that rock on the right-hand side. It appears that that's the way that they're leaning this point in time as well. Now, things happen. We'll talk about what's going to happen here over the next 5 weeks and training camp here later in the show. But, right now we can only go off of what we see. And what we see is that he is staying at right. Even when Donovan Smith has to miss time, he's not being shifted over to the left-hand side. And so that sets up a couple of questions. I do have to say that gives me a couple of concerns. I thought that the point was to get the best 5 out there, and that's generally what Andy is going to talk about. But that means either that they are very, very comfortable with Donovan Smith and his status, both injury and performance-wise, and they see him as their left no matter what, and they're just going to leave it at that. Okay, if that's their evaluation, I have to go with it. I'm not here to second-guess Andy Reid or Andy Heck. If they feel it's good to go, then it's good to go. The really interesting thing for me, though, is that when Donovan Smith was not able to go in OTAs and mandatory minicamp, and Juwan Taylor didn't get swung over to the left-hand side, it was not who you thought would get the reps. As I understand, Prince Tega Wanogho has been taking most of the second-team snaps at left tackle. It's Wanya Morris that got snaps with the ones when Donovan Smith was out. He got snaps with the ones and with the threes on the left-hand side. And that's the big question for me. If we thought he was going to come in and compete it right where he had played it at Oklahoma, and we thought that there was a competition factor, especially if Juwan was going to end up on the left, we would expect to see some of those reps. And evidently he has taken some reps with the twos on the right-hand side. Lucas Niang is there as well, and he's kind of got that area not locked down, but he's the stalwart there. So it looks like your backups, as of now, going into training camp, if nothing else changes, and likely nothing else is going to change, that it's going to be Donovan Smith and Juwan Taylor as your bookends on first string. Your backups are going to be, it looks like, Wanya Morris and Lucas Niang. That's where we had hoped we would get to, but Prince Tega Wanogho's hanging in there. I give him credit. I don't have him as a guy that I really want to rely on, but I give him credit for hanging in here this long and making that push and making that fight. It turns out that we might not have a battle in training camp for left tackle number 1, but we might have a battle for left tackle number 2. And that goes into the whole swing concept as well. So who can play on both sides, the whole 9 yards. But that's the way it stands right now as we're entering the downtime. And the other thing that I want to throw out, because I want you guys to see this, the interior 3 is the interior 3. That's not changing anytime soon. I expect Nick Allegretti to be the primary backup on the interior 3 positions. We'll call him the swing inside guy. But it's this guy. Everybody knows Trey. Everybody's excited about not only his presence, but his value and his playing style. But this is the thing that I take away. It's Nick Allegretti behind him. And when you take a look at it, look at the size on the hands. Nick Allegretti's got a couple of rings. Yes, it does help that there's 2 there, but you can see that, they're oversized rings and they really dominate anybody's hand. That's how big these things are, right? I can only imagine how heavy they are. I don't have the stats on it, but I think I may have to look that up. But this is what I wanted to point out in this picture, and that is for Trey Smith, it looks like this ring fits. This looks like it's sized correctly for him. And it's not this huge chunk of metal and stone on his hand. It looks like it could be the right kind of dimensions. The girth of his hands is important. And I think that goes a long way in the way that he plays. We all see that every week. And that's really the thing that I think stands out to me in all those images and what we saw, very limited video, but that's what happens. I just thought it was impressive that Trey Smith looks like that ring should be on his finger all the time, and it's not this, ornamental piece that Super Bowl rings really are. So that said, outside of the offensive line, what else did we get out of this? From everything that I understand, it is pretty straightforward what's going on right now at the wide receiver spot. It is the top 3, as we've talked about. And then it is this guy. And it's a little bit trippy, right? Because we're used to seeing number 17. That's not a question. But this is the Richie James version of 17. And Richie had arguably, from what I've been able to get people to share with, the best camp of any wide receiver on this roster. So to the sources that I trust, Richie James is the 4 right now. And then Rashee Rice, Justin Watson, you can argue the Ross and Ross where they're going to line up. But right now, Richie James is number 4. Smith Marset is in that mix to make the roster as well. But it's going to be a lot of competition. Last day of mandatory minicamp, we did have a nice day out by Rashee Rice. So that was the report as well. That means that this is coming on and it's giving options to this offense. And I think at the end of the day, that's where we've been wanting to get them to go. It's about how many targets can Pat have that can get loose on any given play. I think that what this is going to do is get us back a little bit to more of the mesh type route combinations, crossing over the middle with guys that can get loose laterally, not necessarily just driving depth down the field, although I think that will be part of it, particularly with MVS, who also has had a nice camp. I think the well-rounded aspect of this wide receiver core is going to play well and get them a chance to go and if not repeat, get back to the Super Bowl. I'm pretty confident. We're going to do a 53-man early look here tomorrow on Locked On Chiefs. You can go listen to that over on that channel. But I'm also going to start looking at where I think it's going to break down in terms of performance. Who's going to be able to do that? How are they going to change the offense? Because there's a couple of observations I want to throw at you guys too. One thing is that it's very clear that this is going to be wide receiver by committee, but running back by committee too. Clyde Edwards-Helaire seems pretty pissed off about his lot in life at this point. Didn't come across to me as somebody who's happy to be in this organization any longer. So hopefully that turns into a chip on the shoulder and he plays harder and he's able to be more productive. That's my hope. I can't guarantee that. Derek Prince had probably a better camp in terms of progress towards being a viable player. So for those that were doubting Prince, I think there's a little bit more metal behind the push to see him on the roster. I think I expect that. From what I've been able to ascertain, Brian Cook has moved right into the starting slot next to Justin Reed and is cooking with gas, just to use that. Very confident in his ability to transition. He's helping the younger guys out, the young corners. Obviously, they're a group and they studied together, and we've heard those stories. If you missed Dan's McDuffie breakdown, you want to go back and check that out. But I think as a group, it's even the younger guys that are starting to come in that he's starting to work with. Nick Jones giving direction, being able to set up the defense. Brian Cook's going to be an integral part of this defense this year. And so far, everyone seems to be very happy with the way that it's gone. Now, a couple of guys that need to be on the lookout. One, rookie Keandre Coburn, going to have a lot asked of him. The first hurdle is going to be the conditioning test. And I've heard a number of people, including Jawan Taylor, talk so much about what the veterans are trying to emphasize to the young guys or the new guys. And in both cases, it's the same kind of hurdle. You have to be in shape come camp. What happens this time of year? Well, right now, I had the big celebration and the party for the rings, whatever. But practices are done. Everyone is scattered. Everyone, most likely, everyone is leaving Kansas City now or already has. A lot of guys go on vacation this time of year and take a few weeks. If you happen to be vacationing right now, you want to run into Chiefs players or NFL players anywhere, you should be heading down to Cancun. You should be going over to Cabo. Turks and Caicos seems to be a popular spot these days. I've run into a couple of guys in the Bahamas this time of year in the past. So there's definitely places that you can go find them because everybody's in downtime mode now. Now, that doesn't mean they won't work out, and it doesn't mean that they're not training still. And for the stars, for Kelsey, for Mahomes, there's going to be a lot of like commercial activity, shooting photo shoots, filming commercials. It's State Farm right now is probably setting up what they're going to do, and they're going to film those now in the downtime. From what I know of Patrick's schedule, he's been doing a lot of photo shoots because I know folks that have been working with him on those all through the OTA sessions. So just mixing it in, but there's a heavy slate for him. He is in high demand. And so that takes a little bit away from the rest and the relaxation that some of the other players get to enjoy right now. So if there's anybody who can handle it, it's Mahomes. So I don't think that that's a concern. But for right now, as much as we all get into our summer plans, so do the players, and they need to take a step back and a breath. And that allows them to recharge and get their feet back underneath them because pretty soon it's going to be right back into training camp. And we did get the announcements of training camp. I think that I'm excited for the way that it's going to come down when it's all said and done. It makes me pretty happy that they're going to get more practice time. And that's the bottom line here. I'm trying to pull up the schedule for them here. There was an announcement. Give me just a second, and we'll get that so you guys can check it out. Because what it allows them to do is get a little bit more time. And I think that's really what we're looking for overall is time. Because despite having, a roster that's so established, it also one that needs a lot of prep time. Let me share this with you all, and we can take a look at it and what it means. Because if I blow this up anyway, Get that more presentable. Okay. So here's where public practice starts right here, July 23rd. Last year it was the 30th. It's incredible that they're getting a whole extra week. By my count, they're going to get 7 extra practices in this because of the timing here. Now, Andy will sometimes throw a day off in there that maybe isn't planned. Certainly, we'll throw a 10-10-10 practice in, which is very, very light. So you have to keep that with a grain of salt. But you guys can get in on Sunday, July 23rd this year, 6 days before they were even in camp last year. Report day for the quarterbacks and rookies will be a couple days before that. Generally 4, as I remember. So that's what we'll be looking for there. Now, the interesting part is as you come down, they're breaking camp on August 17th. That will be Military Appreciation Day. Last year, they broke on August 18th. So they're starting a lot early and they're ending just 1 day early. That's going to give them more reps, more practice, more ability to develop those young players. And that is probably all that you could ask for from a Super Bowl roster that had to go and restock with another rookie class and has a lot of young players from the last 2 classes already playing dominant roles in how much they're on the field. So this really helps. Let's see, there's a couple of season ticket holder events in here. Obviously, they're going to play in that first game against the Saints on August 13th. That doesn't leave many practices, just 3 practices, including Military Appreciation Day, after the first preseason game, before the second preseason game. That's really the time that I generally go to camp. We'll see if that works out because this is a super tight schedule this year. But there's plenty of opportunity for you guys. August 4th is going to be a quarterback signing day. You're going to get plenty of autographs. Obviously, Friday the 28th is as well. I know folks look for those quite a bit. So here's the next scenario for if they're going to be in and practicing on the 23rd for the whole team. That means that Chris Jones is going to come down right about then. Unless they are able to work something out early, which right now doesn't feel like that's in the cards. If D-Hop is in the plans, it definitely needs to be, but it doesn't seem to be currently. So my thought is that date, the 23rd, is probably when we're going to see the signing and the practice for Chris Jones. He might get there a day or 2 early just to get settled in. Sometimes they'll come in because he's going to have to arrive in Kansas City, go down to the headquarters, do all the paperwork, and then go up to camp. So it's a little bit of a rigmarole. But I could see that being the way that it comes down. So that's kind of what we're looking at. That's only right now. The quarterbacks and rookies will be in camp in just over 4 weeks. It's not much of a summer. And for us, it's great. For the players, it's tough. But they'll be on the field in 5 weeks. Full team, full go. And that's, I think, very exciting for a team that's looking to go back to the Super Bowl. I think that sets them up well and lets them get a lot of things done. I also am going to be really interested to see what the weather's like this year because the weather patterns across the Midwest have been very strange this year. It's wetter in some places, drier in others. I'm interested to see what July looks like. So I hope you guys are looking forward to it and hope this helps you get your plans squared away for when you want to go to camp. I'm looking pretty forward to it. I'm also looking forward to some steaks tonight for Father's Day that I don't even have to cook. So it's going to be fun. Wife's going to do the sous vide and the pan method. So that's kind of what we're looking at. I hope you guys are having fun as well. This should be streaming live from the recording right about the time that I'm getting ready to eat. So I hope that you're fat and happy and feeling good and enjoying your Father's Day. And for all the ladies out there, I hope that it's been a good day for you as well. Always fun when we get to this point in the season because it starts to feel like training camp is here. I know it's a tough wait, but the wait's shorter this year, and that's the big takeaway. So I hope you guys have a great Sunday night and a wonderful Father's Day. We'll be back tomorrow live for Q&A at the normal time, 7 o'clock Central, ready to go. And we'll get into it because we don't have long. And we're going to see guys in pads on fields getting ready to go back to another Super Bowl. So have a great evening. Have a great day tomorrow, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.